Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Legal Insight podcast by
it's morning.
HQ. It's morning when we release this episode. I won't tell you what time it is now. It could be 12 midnight that we're recording this, but nonetheless, good morning and happy Chinese New Year by the time we release this episode.
Maybe should be.
Probably Chinese New Year. And we're at episode 31, right? Which is also the second episode of our CEO Exchange series. Today, we're joined once again by three individuals who need little introduction. Head of Technology Practice Group, Ong Johnson, and co-head, Khai, joined by the CEO and co-founder of PeerHive, Vincent Yeo. Welcome to the show, guys.
Good to see you, Zach. Happy to see you. 恭喜发财.
恭喜发财,
恭喜发财.
拿来.
Expecting ang pao from here. 恭喜发财.
DeFi ang pao, right? If you missed episode 30, I would strongly encourage you to go back and listen to it before coming back to this conversation. It was filled with many hidden gems and also context for this episode. Because today we're taking the conversation even further on DeFi P2P. Now, PeerHive is one of only 6 companies to be selected by the SC Malaysia for the first ever cohort of the SC regulatory Sandbox. It is a historic milestone for Malaysia's fintech scene. And in this episode, we're zooming in specifically on the regulatory Sandbox, the journey behind it, and the significance and what it means for the future of fintech, blockchain, and Malaysia's regulatory landscape moving forward. So let's dive right in. Vincent, let me start by congratulating you once again. PeerHive is named as one of the only 6 companies in Malaysia for the first SC regulatory sandbox, and it is remarkable, right? We can congratulate you again and again on this achievement. But in case some listeners have not watched episode 30 and want to have a quick refresher on what PeerHive is, could you just quickly introduce, who is PeerHive, what is PeerHive, and what exactly is DeFi P2P at a conceptual layer?
Yeah, thanks for having me back again. Right. To give you a conceptual idea, what is PeerHive? I'm going to give you an idea. I'm the lender and you're a borrower. So if let's say you're a borrower, you want to expand your bakery business across the state of Malaysia, what will you do? You need capital, right? And you already own a shop lot that you already paid off fully in, let's say, PJ. And it values around $1 million ringgit. So you can come to us. We will help. Maybe we'll do the underwriting, check your profile and everything. If everything clears up nicely, we will give you a teaser and put it onto our platform. Yeah. So from there, we allow investors to invest into your pool using any stable coins that we have. So from there, everything settles in smart contract. And the gist of it, there's no trust into it. All the money that is staged within that smart contract, or we call as a borrowing pool, you directly transfer from the lender's wallet, staged within the borrowing pool itself. When, let's say, the campaign period ended and it meets the RMO guideline of 80% or more, the borrower able to withdraw that funding amount directly from that pool itself. And you can take that stable coins, you can transact into Malaysia ringgit, fiat, then you can expand a business. From there, you can grow a business. Then when the time comes, you can just repay everything into the borrowing pool. And from that borrowing pool, right, our lender can access to it and redeem it. Yeah. Clear and concise.
Wonderful explanation. Now, Vincent, for this episode, we really want to peel back the curtain of the SC regulatory sandbox because not many people have participated. Obviously, not many people have been selected. Only 6 companies,
6, man.
right? And we have one here,
Correct.
one of the Infinity Stones here. Now, we really want to know what is behind the curtains. And what I'd like to understand from you in particular is this. What actually motivated you to participate when most crypto companies prefer to stay fully decentralized, unbounded by all these regulations, and almost allergic to the idea of having governance, right? Like, don't touch me. What made you take the opposite path to these crypto founders? And could you walk us through your internal reasoning, like the push factors and the moment you decided, yes, PeerHive needs to be a part of this?
Back then, right, when we thought of the business model, you don't go pure DeFi. Like what competitors been doing in the Europe as well as in the US, right? Yeah, see, one of the issues that plague them is the default rate.
Yes.
If let's say you're unlicensed and you can't really go towards go and recover your defaults, it will be a hell, to be put it bluntly. And then it comes to a point that if we look at the global landscape, we saw that the decentralized platform elsewhere is struggling with the recovery side of the lending. When you're fully decentralized and unbounded, recovering default is a massive hurdle among the platforms. We didn't want to follow the trend of skyrocketing default rates, 10+%. It would be a hell to the platform already.
Yeah, of course.
We wanted to build a platform that would actually work in the long haul. That's why we go for the regulated route. The SC was instrumental in helping us to bridge that gap. I have to highlight a few things that made our decision to join the Sandbox. Right now, it's the professionalism and the guidance of the SC teams of the fintech innovation teams. The SC didn't just set the bar; they gave us the roadmap to clear it. The guidance allows us to structure our recovery and governance framework in a way that it gives us the real legal clarity on how we can operate it. Right. Then we don't see SC as a very rigid policeman.
Of course.
We found a very cooperative partnership between us and SC, and the communication is very clear from there on.
Yeah, true.
They're very responsive to all our very stupid questions sometimes. But it showed the SC is willing to work with us and how to understand how blockchain can solve all problems. In this case, removing a trustee from what we have in the B2B market right now. So ultimately, a partnership with SC allows us to bring a much clearer chapter and more stable source of funding to Malaysia SMEs. We are looking at lower cost of funding, we can say sub 10%. Then we chose Sandbox because we believe that this is the best way to innovate in the guidance and responsiveness of the regulators itself.
Amazing.
Thanks, Vincent. Now, from what I'm hearing, SC is really playing a very positive and hands-on role, in kind of encouraging the whole ecosystem to innovate. And that's a really positive step. So, Khai, let's take a little step back and, set the foundation a bit, because our listeners so far have heard regulatory sandbox again and again, but perhaps not many actually know what it is. Like, perhaps you could unpack this a little bit deeper. What exactly SC regulatory sandbox stands for, and why is this an important development? And lastly, how did HHQ even get involved? At the time, probably the tech practice group wasn't as famous as it is now. Like, how did you even step your foot in to this scene? So early in the process.
Well, that's a question with many sub-questions. Let's see. The first question about SC regulatory sandbox, what it essentially is, right? Just like any other sandbox out there, essentially it is a testing ground for new innovation, for new products that may not exactly fit squarely within the existing regulatory landscape. Essentially, companies like PeerHive, they would not have been able to launch their product if not because of the sandbox, because their offering it just doesn't fall squarely within the existing RMO framework, recognized market operator framework. So for them, sandbox is especially created and curated for companies like PeerHive who wants to push the boundary of the law and also technology and innovation. So why is this first cohort so important and so consequential, not only for PeerHive and the likes of PeerHive, but also the broader ecosystem? Is because it's first of its kind to test new capital market business model. And we believe that just like anything that's first, in addition to having a first mover advantage, you are also shaping how the practice and also the industry may potentially look like in the future, right? SC will also learn through this process, and they will fine-tune their regulatory sandbox processes as well. So we believe that through Vincent and also his company, I think they will be seen as a reference point moving forward, right? Lab rats even. Regulation, ultimately, I believe that it's a journey. It's very difficult for law. We are practicing lawyers. It's very difficult for law to nail everything right the first time round.
Yeah.
Typically, you launch a new law and you need fine-tune, you need new regulations, you need supplementary guidelines. So regulation is a journey. And it is only through this journey of sandbox, so-called sandboxing, that the right regulation can be pushed out to regulate new capital market business model. And when it comes to the firm, well, I don't need to say this. You guys know that Johnson is a true degen when it comes to crypto, when it comes to digital asset, when it comes to fintech. He's a walking magnet for fintech companies. So that's essentially how we get connected. We got connected with Vincent as well through Johnson. But essentially, what makes us as a firm, as a department, to take on this kind of project is also because we ourselves, we love things like this. We love projects, we love business models that do not fit squarely within existing regulatory framework. Since many, many years ago, we've been helping companies to structure their business model, be it BNPL, be it leasing, be it financing, any kind of financing is essentially invoice factoring event. We have been helping companies since many years ago to tweak and structure their business model so that they can roll it out when there is a regulatory gray area. And in fact, we recently have also been helping a lot of other fintech companies to structure their utility token, industry scale utility token projects. And now we are even talking with a few companies on possibly using stablecoin for payment purposes to participate in Bank Negara's Sandbox. So these are the things that we love. So it's only very natural. It's very natural for us the moment we speak to Vincent to say that, hey, let's work together. Let's see how we can structure and how we can help you to structure your products into something that is marketable. Sorry, not marketable, but rather to be able to launch it in the market legally and under a clear regulatory framework.
Thanks, Khai. That's super clear. And now, Johnson, I understand that you and your team were super as well deeply involved from start to finish, submission, advisory, structuring, as what Khai has said. That basically everything, right? Stop short of washing toilets for
end to end, we call it end to end.
End to end. Now, perhaps you could help us, walk through what the actual process looks like for those of us who are still starting out. What were the steps and what are the key areas that SC particularly focused on? Because many listeners out there might imagine it to be highly administrative and cumbersome. But what's the reality of it? Could you walk us through what was it actually like?
Yeah, amazing question. So if we actually look back at 2025, the SC, they initially launched the entire guideline, which including the framework for this sandbox, I think sometime about February or March. And Vincent was only being informed that the company was actually being successfully admitted into the sandbox, I think late last year. It's either November or December. So the whole process took easily about 9 months. So 9 months, if you ask us, is it long? I think that for normal standards, people are expecting things to be immediate. They want to get a license the next week or the next month. But that is not possible. And to be honest, I would have certain fear if SC would actually allow any kind of licenses like just within a week. That in the case, something is very wrong, right? So if I'm able to break it down into pieces, I think that throughout the whole sample process, there are maybe about 3 main components. Typically, the first thing that you need to do, you must go to the website and then SC, they are actually being extremely transparent. Whatever form of documents, whatever form of guidelines, FAQ is all on the website already. The first thing you do is you must download and then you must read page to page because all materials are there. So that's the first step. Just by reading through, it's going to take you quite some time because those materials are, I would call it, is rather comprehensive. And then the moment you think that I am ready, this is what I want to do, typically either SC or BNN, they make it very clear. You are not supposed to immediately submit your application. You have to go through, we call it the pre-consultation process or the engagement process. So in the engagement process, regardless is SC or BNM, they will be wanting to understand, who are you? Your company, what do you do? Do you have any form of history, any form of ability to actually conduct whatever they want to do? And similarly, your products, your services, is it even innovative? Is it even bringing any form of impact to the country? And then who are the target audience? So after you went through, we call it the consultation stage, then only we will start preparing the actual, we call it the business plan, actual documents, actual policy documents, guidelines and whatnot. Then only we go through the full submission. During the submission stage, there will be many rounds of clarifications, many rounds of queries to be clarified with SC and whatnot. So typically that is going to take you maybe a few more months. And then if you're lucky enough, after 6 months or more, hopefully you'll be getting some form of indication or some form of good news. Just like for PeerHive, the whole process is pretty much from March until November. But I think that is responsible governance because you really want to ensure that everything submitted is actually properly read through, properly reviewed, and most importantly, the one that is really going to launch the products.
That sounds absolutely exhausting. But we have someone who has actually come out on the other side successful, still smiling. Now, Vincent, here's something many founders will find somewhat relatable after hearing what Johnson has just explained. A lot of crypto founders prefer to stay fully decentralized for those reasons and more, right?
Yeah.
But you chose to go the other way and you chose to go through that, lengthy process, 6 to 9 months, of getting to the other side. Now, was it worth it? And, what made you go through, what made you say, hey, you've personally experienced, all those things. Knowing it is known to be extremely tough and highly technical and demanding, why did you go through it?
I would like to point out one thing is that the co-founder teams don't come from a highly compliance or highly regulated space. 3 of us comes from startup ecosystem. I was one of the business analysts for another startup back in 2021. Then if we are talking about is it worth it or not, I would say it's 100% worth it. Because from what we are looking at, it expands our reach, potential clients as well as potential investors in this case. In some case, we might even able to bring in investors coming in from overseas like UK, US, even in the Europe side. This is where all the cheap source of funding are, and when they stays in a regulated manner, it's just a click from there on. But honestly, right, the toughness of the process is actually one of the greatest value that we have. It built the resilience of the co-founding teams.
Amazing.
And we know what we are targeting and what we are trying to do. So this set us apart between all these rock-proof projects that you have been seeing in the ecosystem. Especially all this token that has been launched but nothing happened. Navigating the sandbox wasn't about clearing hurdles alone, right? It was about the guidance and professionalism that we received from the sandbox throughout the journey. I describe our experience in 2 ways. A clear partnership, cooperative partnership between us and the regulators, especially Securities Commission. We initially expect a very rigid as well as a one-way process. We are just listening and we are not giving feedback at all. But it's completely opposite from what we are talking. From the first consultation, pre-consultation, all the way to the announcement of the sandbox, right? We know what they're expecting. And it's a very clear 2-way process. We are able to share our ideas and our concept to them. And then in some way, they can provide some guidance and how we can tweak the business model itself. It helps us to align our regulatory compliance framework to meet with their standards. Then ultimately, right, it gives us a roadmap to maturity. It doesn't just make us stay like in the low level. It pushes the bar higher for us to
that's
work.
important.
So in some case, right, the SC is indeed thorough and technical. But it's the rigor that we needed.
Of course.
The guidance help us to refine our operation inside. Like streamline a lot of things. And then we are proposing some other very innovative reporting system for them as well. Where it's not just a pull, but it's a push factor already. So it's no more passive reporting system within our system right now. And so while the bar is high, SC doesn't just let you climb alone. So you have all these people to help us.
That's important.
That's wonderful. I can sense a very calm sense of confidence as well coming out from the other side of this so-called refiner's fire, or you've been through the trial by fire. Now you've been through all those, stringent checks and trials. Now there's a sense of confidence in what you're offering, that it is truly tested. Right?
Yeah.
Now to Johnson, throughout your advisory and structuring work, both on PeerHives and also, as I know, other clients, you've had a pretty rare vantage point into how regulators actually think, and when they're evaluating fintech structures. Now, if you were to distill this experience into what truly matters to SC, essentially, what are the non-negotiables for any startup or fintech companies attempting to enter a sandbox of this kind of caliber?
Yeah, of course, I'm not able to speak on behalf of SC, but one thing that we really admire as we're working with SC is actually their transparency. So as I mentioned, anything that you want, whatever form of materials, whatever form of guidelines, FAQ, is all on their website. And their website is actually extremely well organized. So most of the time, whatever they need, just by going to the website, you can be getting most of the information, if not all of the information already. And then SC, they are extremely responsive, towards whatever form of queries they have. So if you're asking us, like, what are the top 2 or top 3 non-negotiable criteria, I would say that if you actually go to the website actually make it quite clear, in order for you to actually join the sandbox, what are the they call it the eligibility criteria. The first one, if you want to join a sandbox, it must be innovative. You will not be saying that I want to launch exactly a similar product that everyone is already offering. Then in the case, why are you even joining the sandbox? Number 1, it must be innovative. Number 2, you have to make it very clear to SC that actually how is it going to be impactful to the society, to the market, or to the users, because you do not want to have a very innovative product but no one is using it. Who's your target audience? And then will anyone ever use it? Is it actually impactful to the society? So innovative is one thing. Second thing is it must be impactful. And the last one, I will call it, is actually consumer protection. So you can have a powerful product. You can have a services that is extremely groundbreaking, innovative, but similarly, it can be something extremely dangerous. So for SC, for BNM, or for any regulators, consumer protection is something that they will never compromise on. So this is why I feel that whenever any companies or any one is listening to this podcast, in order for you to deal with any form of regulators, either SC, BNM, or LFSA, the key thing is the product, it must be innovative enough. The second thing, it must bring real impact to the society. There must be real users willing to adopt, willing to adapt to your products. And last but not least, is your innovation responsible? Is your innovation safe enough for people to adopt it widely?
Very clear. So innovative, impactful, and safe.
Yeah.
Now, Khai, from your perspective, having been in the trenches with the team, what do you make of the entire process of the sandbox? And if you were to reverse engineer this process, and standing hypothetically in SC's shoes, like what Johnson has just did, what do you believe are some of the key selection criteria?
Yeah, so the process definitely hasn't been easy. We have heard it from the man himself. We have heard it from Johnson just now as well. Even the process, even the timing wise, it took, I would say, 9 months, right? You can have a baby, you can have a human being within that period of time. So definitely it's not easy. Not any project, not any proposed business model can get into Sandbox, right? So definitely kudos to Vincent and team.
That's right.
Ultimately, I would say if I were to step into SC's shoes, I hope that when I do meet SC, they don't tell me whether I'm right or I'm wrong. I'm just the wrong side. Don't tell me how wrong I am or how right I am. Just let it be. But if I were to step into SC's shoes, definitely I think I will look at the business plan. Is it a business plan, a business case that is really addressing a pain point in the market? Or is it really improving the existing product, capital market product that is out there? Because otherwise, then why is there really a need for this new so-called new business model? I'm just not going to allow someone to launch something that essentially won't have a proper adoption, won't have a proper use case, right? As what Vincent has said just now, I can't be simply launching a product saying that it's powered by blockchain. I want to be a DeFi, I want it to have a DeFi element in it for no reason whatsoever, right? It just doesn't make sense.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, sounds cool, but what benefits, what added value are you bringing to the table, right? So essentially, business case is the first thing that I'll be looking at. And number two, is there actual genuine regulatory impediment?
Yeah.
Because the whole purpose of a sandbox is to allow people to test out projects and also products that would otherwise not be able to be launched due to it not being fit within the existing regulatory framework, right? You can't be telling me that the regulatory framework requires me to have 500,000 capital. I don't have it, so I want to join your sandbox. It just doesn't make sense, right? So there has to be a genuine regulatory impediment.
Yeah.
So if these two points are there, then only I would consider. And the last thing that I would look at, and this is also something that Vincent had to go through, it's about maturity in risk management.
Yes.
Risk identification, assessment, and also coming up with plan to address and mitigate all this risk. So that's very important, because if your product doesn't fit into existing regulatory framework, that means you need to compromise on a certain thing. I need to compromise on a certain thing in order to allow you to launch a product. So would that increase risk? Possibly. Risk to the market, risk to users, risk to investors. So tell me, what are those risks and how are you addressing them? And if I am convinced that you are committed and you do have a somewhat convincing and real solutions or mitigation plan to all this risk, then only I will check off this last box and allow you to possibly be admitted into the sandbox.
Yeah.
Wow, very clear. Now, Vincent, before we wrap up, this is a question that many founders will be listening very closely to. And as we know, the reality is many companies actually applied for the sandbox and only 6 succeeded. As one of the 6, what would you say is the biggest takeaway from this entire journey? And why do you think PeerHive was able to make the cut? Now, for aspiring founders who want to move away from the Wild West mindset and enter the regulated league, what is your advice to them?
Looking back at the journey, right, the biggest takeaway is that regulations is not a ceiling, but for us, it's a flaw. If we breach that flaw, investors is not protected already.
Yeah, of course.
In the Wild West world of blockchain, of fintech, right, you might move fast, but eventually you hit a wall. When it comes to institutional trust as well as real world impact. By entering with the SC regulatory sandbox, we didn't just get a license, but we gained a strategic partnership between PeerHive and SC, where we can shape the regulation in some way to build a much more comprehensive framework for us to work with and to solve the real world problem along the way, right? In terms of cost, funding cost reduction, as all the way to default recovery.
Yeah.
I believe that PeerHive was selected because we didn't approach SC on move fast, break all methodology, right? Instead, we show the willingness of us want to work together with them.
Yeah.
And from there, and to achieve the Malaysian national goal along the way, which is a very, we show the willingness to align all our innovation to hit the national goals of empowering the SMEs, lifting up the B40s in some case.
That's important.
However, along the way, right, we noticed that SC provide us a very clear roadmap. What should we achieve along the way? And that's why we're also crafting the testing plan according to what they're asking for. And to put it very clearly, we are trying to be, we try to protect investors since the beginning already. So we are partnering in the process and show genuine interest how blockchain can make the market much more efficient in some ways. But my advice to aspiring founders right now is that who is hesitant to engage with the regulators, change your perspective. Don't see SC as a barrier of entry, but see as a strategic partner that you can work with to go a larger scale and maybe go outside of Malaysia borders. Use work together with them, because within the ecosystem, we believe SC is a world-class regulators.
Yeah, of course.
Alongside MAS, alongside the US counterpart as well. If you want to scale, right, you need credibility. You need to prove that your tech can protect investors and survive the market stress. So step into the arena, although it's demanding, but it's exactly why you trust you earn at the end is so valuable by working with world-class regulators.
That's amazing. That's incredibly insightful. I want to sincerely thank Vincent, the CEO and co-founder of PeerHive, for joining us as our first guest on our CEO Insight CEO Exchange series, and for sharing such a thoughtful and in-depth perspective from someone who's been through all the regulatory processes. And for, of course, Johnson and Khai for providing the legal insights as usual. Exceptional conversation today. Now, for our listeners, I hope today's discussion has given you really good insight into not just blockchain and fintech and the legal thinking behind it, but also a perspective from a founder, a CEO who's actually gone through the whole process himself. Now, stay tuned for the CEO Exchange series, where we will interview more CEOs, more co-founders who have gone through similar, or if not something different, offering a different perspective on their businesses. Now, this has been the Legal Insight podcast by HHQ. We'll see you in the next episode.